This is On the Sidelines with Box 13.
All right, we are back with another episode of the On the Sidelines podcast. I'm your host, Ethan McReynolds, here as always with my partner in crime, DJ Dante Jackson.
Yes.
Dante, the Seahawks are heading to Super Bowl 60. How crazy does that sound? How crazy is that?
You know, I'm definitely happy for the Seahawks. To me, the job is not finished, so it's hard for me to get too excited because they have to win the championship.
I'm pumped. I don't care.
Ethan, you know this is a show of champions. We've been the only ones since day one saying the Hawks had a chance to win a championship.
You were the only one.
And they're finally here.
Yeah, well, we have a lot to get to. We got a full football episode for you today. And with that, let us get to our special guest for the episode, Mr. Michael-Shawn Dugar of The Athletic. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. You've been covering this team so closely all season long. And you also covered the previous Super Bowl winning team all the way back in 2013 as well. Man, I mean, unlikely a Super Bowl in at least the last 50 years I'm seeing between the Patriots and the Seahawks. How did we get here? The Seahawks with the lowest odds out of the division to win the division, and now we're sitting here, they're NFC champs.
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me. The other thing is the way we got here for both teams is coaching. Right? Like both of these guys are finalists for Coach of the Year. I believe Mike Vrabel is probably going to win it. Mike Macdonald should get a lot of votes because the thing is, no one really cares in these buildings about Vegas odds or projections or anything. It's who do we have lining up on Sunday? Can we get the best out of them? Who do we have in the headsets on Sunday calling the plays and getting guys in position? And can we get the best out of them? And the answer for both teams in this game is yes. Like, we have the dudes. You know, they may not have the flashiest dudes. You know, I think the Patriots only have 2 Pro Bowlers, I believe, Drake and Christian Gonzalez, where the Seahawks have a lot more. They have multiple All-Pros, but it doesn't matter. You can have names, right? But it's about playmakers. Do you have playmakers? And do you have guys who can put your playmakers in position? Both of these teams have that. Mike Macdonald's always known they had that. You know, probably my favorite moment of the season now, selfishly, is when Michael Strahan asked Mike Macdonald on the stage. He said, you guys were an afterthought in this division, and now you've gone through McVay and Shanahan to get here. How does that make you feel? And Mike said, we do not care. You know, it's about us. It's always been about us. And while that sounds like the biggest piece of coach speak you ever heard, I chuckled hearing that in the press box because on August 28th, after training camp, I said, Mike, how do you feel about where you are in the division, how you stack up? He said, bro, I do not care. And the same tone, the same way. It was the same answer. And that's how I knew Mike's just true to himself. He genuinely did not care then, and he doesn't care now. And because he only cared about who they were putting on the field and the guys that he had in the headsets. And that's why they're here, and that's why the Patriots are here as well.
Well, and really quick, DJ, I wanted to ask you about that question because I feel like we've heard throughout this entire season, you mentioned a specific circumstance, but anytime he's asked about stakes, about narratives, about anything outside of the facility, I mean, it's just like, we do not care. Like, that was such a familiar thing. How crazy was it to have it full circle with, like, on the biggest, not the biggest stage imaginable, but that big of a stage for him to have that line. And I mean, like, that consistency for Mike as a person in his message, how important do you think that is to the guys in that locker room?
Oh, I think it's everything. It's everything. I've asked guys about that. You know, even on Sunday night when they won, I was asking guys, why did you guys buy in to what this guy was selling? And they said he's consistent every day. The messaging is the same. The clarity is there. You know, it's really important for these guys to know what you want them to do, you know, and how you want them to do it. And that sounds simple, but I feel like we've all probably worked for someone in our careers who's like, all right, I'm supposed to have this done by 5 o'clock, but I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to do it this way or that way. I don't want to ask. I want to get yelled at or respond to the email, walking to their office, whatever. And there just really isn't that, you know, for this team. All the guys whose job it is to take on blocks knows how a Seahawk is supposed to take on blocks. All the guys whose job it is to run routes, they all know how a Seahawk is supposed to run routes and so on and so forth. And that's really important because then in times of turmoil, if you do lose a game or you're having a bad half, a bad quarter, a bad series, there's something to look back to. There's a point of reference. It's like having the syllabus in a college class, right? All right, it's October. I'm drowning a little bit. Okay, well, let me go back to what the course is about, with the syllabi that I got in August or whenever the quarter started. And that's what the Seahawks have. They have that in the run game. They have that on defense. They have that on special teams even. They were one of the best special teams units in the league. And that's important because you don't see that with every team. The common way to view that is identity. Like Mike gave them an identity through him. And I think the best coaches in this league, their teams are an extension of them. The previous Super Bowl winning team was an extension of Pete. It was a bunch of always compete robots who wanted to kill each other, right? That was an extension of Pete Carroll, and even teams that haven't won a championship. I think Mike Tomlin's most recent Steelers teams were an extension of him. John Harbaugh's Ravens teams were an extension of him. To use an active coach, Dan Campbell's Lions are an extension of Dan Campbell. That's a Dan Campbell team when you watch the tape, when you watch them live, for better or worse, where they're going for it on fourth down or running the ball down your throat. And that's a good coaching job. And you go look at the people that are firing coaches or still haven't hired one yet. Those are the teams without an identity. The Seahawks don't fall in that category, and that's because of who Mike is, whether he's getting asked the question in August, October, December, or February.
Now, Mike, a lot of people was talking about the 2013 squad and saying the difference between that squad and this is the characters and some of the things, the brashness of the 2013 team. I say, it's a few more stars in the 2013 team, but the star of this team is Mike Macdonald, like we talked about. Take me into the mind of Macdonald. Is he like a 20-hour-a-day coach? Do he sleep at the office? Because some of the stuff he dial up, you just be like, what? How did he figure that out? So what kind of person, what kind of staff are they always at the facility? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Mike's very much like if he was a player, he would be like that gym rat guy, one of those like high IQ, high motor dudes. You see the scouting report. It's always some like undersized white guy typically is who has these. There's a scouting reports like first one in the building, last one out of the building.
Sneaky
type fast. Of guy. Yeah, deceptively athletic. That's Mike Macdonald though as a coach. Like he would love to just sit in his office and go through third down stuff and blitzes and everything, because he's an overthinker as well. Like he's told us this year that he'll even on game day come up with something right then and put it in the plan. Forget everything they just did for 6 days to get ready for that game. Mike just in the shower had this blitz idea, so he'll just run it by Ernest Jones, who's their green dot linebacker, and say, hey, why don't we do this? But that's, you got to kind of be wired differently to play this game. They are his identity, in a lot of ways, like we were just talking about. But also at the same time, he knows that none of that stuff matters if he can't get those guys to believe in it and feel like their inputs matter as well. That's leadership. Doug Baldwin told me years ago when we were talking about leadership one time, he said, leadership is a service position. Like I'm here to serve the guys that are tasked with following me. And I need to figure out how to get them to follow my lead. And everyone's different. The way he led a Paul Richardson was different than how he led a Tyler Lockett or how he led a Jermaine Kearse or how he led someone on offense or how he was the leader for guys across the ball as well. And Mike has figured out how to do that. Motivating Devin Witherspoon is different than motivating Kobe Bryant, which is different than motivating Charles Cross, which is different than motivating Sam Darnold. You can go down the whole roster. And so on top of just being a football nerd, like he understands the people part of that as well. Like he doesn't even listen to music, which I think is probably the weirdest thing that he's ever told us. He's a big like drive to go on a long drive and listen to podcast guy, which is like I have podcasts, I get it, but no music at all, man. Like your Spotify Warped thing just says nothing for the year. That's a little weird. But that's who he is, and he's authentic in that way. And then he finds what makes every other guy authentic and caters to that. It's really hard. There's 70 guys on the team plus your coaches, right? Everyone different walks of life, different personalities, different backgrounds, different stories. But he lets them into who he is, and then it's reciprocal, and they just build this bond that gets them to this point.
Well, from one leader to another, Mike Macdonald to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, Mike said it after the game. He shut a lot of people up on Sunday with his performance. I mean, he was spectacular. Almost 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Did it without a run game. The Seahawks run game averaged just 2.9 yards per carry on the ground. You wrote about Sam in The Athletic after the game. What has stood out to you about his relationship with the guys in the locker room, and just what stood out to you throughout this entire season covering him as closely as you have?
Yeah, Sam's that's a weird word. Sam's mental has been really strong, Let's look at the game he threw 4 interceptions. What did he do on the last drive of that game? They got the ball on the 1-yard line, and he drove them down in the field goal range. They missed the kick, but Sam did the part he could control, is get you in position to make the kick. And what did he do after he threw 2 picks against the Rams in Week 16? He drove him down the field in overtime while trailing through the game-tying touchdown, then through the game-winning two-point conversion. So I think Sam's still the guy who could maybe see ghosts on any given game. He did that years ago famously. It's like I'm seeing ghosts out there. But now he's just the guy who knows how to make the ghosts go away. And I think that's important because football is going to be that. You are going to fumble, you're going to botch a snap, you're going to take a bad sack, you're going to throw the ball where it shouldn't be, your placement might not be there. But if you're just seeing ghosts all game, then you're going to drown. But if you know how to just make them go away, I think that's where you become a championship level quarterback. That's how Russell Wilson operated as well. He called it like neutral thinking. Russell employed a mental conditioning coach named Trevor Moawad, because of how important the mentality is to play that position. Everyone's looking at you. It's not just when you're on the field. Like, I don't watch the games on TV as much because I'm always there. But when I rewatch the broadcast copy, if Sam throws a great ball and goes to the sideline, the camera's still on him. He throws a bad ball and goes to the sideline, the camera's still on him. It's on him when he talks to Kubiak. It's on him when he talks to Jackson on the sideline. It's on him when he's just standing there chewing gum or whatever. And he knows that. And to know that and still function is hard. It's hard, particularly when you've failed miserably before, as Sam has. And his ability to bounce back from that, I think, has been very impressive because not every quarterback has that, on top of the physical part of the game. You get knocked around, so now you're physically hurting, you're mentally hurting as well. Can you respond from that? And Sam's done a good job, better, honestly, than I thought he would have done, given the data points we had from the Minnesota season. He looked like a guy seeing ghosts in his last two games there and didn't know how to make the ghosts go away. But I think he's kind of solved that a little bit. It actually is part of a big reason why I think the Seahawks are going to win this game is because even if Sam does make a mistake, fumble the ball, throw a pick, he's not gonna crumble. That's important. That is the most important part of this position is the mental aspect of it.
Speaking of Sam Darnold, what was more surprising, Sam Darnold's performance or the defense performance against the Rams?
I would say Sam, just because, as you mentioned, he didn't have a run game. It really was. Mike Macdonald talks a lot about the game declaring itself. Sometimes you're in like an ugly one, 13-10, 9-6. Sometimes, very early, all right, boys, it's a shootout today. Offense, we going for it on fourth. We might go for it on two a couple times. Like, it's very clear it's one of them days. And it became very clear, I want to say early in the second half of the conference championship, Sam, we're going to have to score some points today. Like, just running the ball, playing the field position game, that's just not going to cut it. Matthew is dealing over there. We'll try and stop him, but in the event we don't, we might need you to score 30. And it was like, okay, cool. And I did not think when they signed Sam in March that would be the type of guy he'd be in late January. I don't even know if the team thought that. I may have thought they'd be able to just run the ball, play good defense, against, especially in a conference championship game at home. But that was not the case. And for Sam to deliver in that way, I was very surprised and do it cleanly, no turnovers. He botched one snap, fell on it. Didn't try to pick it up and play hero ball, as we've seen some quarterbacks do in the postseason. Just really great decision-making there. That was impressive. That was probably one of the best individual quarterback performances I've seen from a Seahawk, like, ever, given the stakes of the game. Yeah, the stats, Russ threw for more yards. I'm sure Hasselbeck has had games with more yards, and touchdowns even, but just the stakes, who it was against. That was a top 10 defense on the other side, a defense and a defensive coordinator that had gotten to him multiple times before, a defense that proudly said they were still in his head. Looks like they were wrong about that. So yeah, as jarring as it was to see Puka Nacua just running free on the Seahawks again, we had seen that before. We had not seen Sam play clean ball against this Rams defense, and he did it when it really mattered the most.
Man, that's a big statement. That really puts it in perspective. I mean, given the playoff performances that we've seen from Russell Wilson, I guess it was more so the defense, right in those LOB years. But the comeback performances from Russ. I mean, he had multiple turnovers in that game against the Packers, right? I mean, Mike, you would know better than me, but I mean, what was Russ's best playoff performance? Like, is there anything even close to what Sam did on Sunday?
Statistically, he's had some really big passing games. Atlanta in his rookie year when they lost in the divisional round, when they had that ferocious comeback that fell short. He threw for, I think, 385 yards in that game, set a rookie playoff record, I believe. Might even still hold. And then he had a really big game in the divisional round against the Panthers here. People may not remember Russ's numbers because the iconic moment of that game is Cam Chancellor picking off Cam Newton and running down the field and just nodding his head. It was super cool. So Russ has put up some big numbers. He's had some big numbers in some other games. Hasselbeck, I believe, had a big game against Washington in '06, I believe. So there's been, like I said, there's probably been other big games in terms of numbers. But when you look at the opponent, you look at what was on the line, you look at the MVP was on the other side, just going toe to toe with that guy. Sam was just as good as Matthew Stafford on Sunday. He was just as good, and Matthew was dealing. They were. For them to get a fourth down stop against Matthew down there in the red zone, that was the game right there. That was incredible because it felt like one of those games where if the Seahawks just got one stop, they'd be okay. Right. Just the entire half, they were just not getting that stop. So maybe there's other games that people would argue that's fine. We don't got to go through the whole history, but for me, given those stakes, that was about as good as quarterback play as you can get by Sam Darnold in the NFC Championship.
Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Recent history, in the Seahawks, there were 9 wins every season, just like in mediocrity, mired in it. They let go Pete Carroll. John Snyder stays, and I'd be one of the first to admit I kind of side-eyed that and like, well, why he get to stay? I wanted a complete overhaul, but it looked like he's proved his doubters wrong. 2 years after Pete leaves, they're back in the Super Bowl, and they have young, promising prospects like Eman Wari, where the future looks promising. Was Pete the problem?
No, I don't know if Pete was the problem per se, because like I said, that team embodied him. And that's why, they were who they were. They were a bunch of just rough and tumble, have something to prove guys from all walks of life. And Pete came in with a lot of coaching tactics and philosophies and beliefs that were not commonplace at the time. And when Pete got hired in January of 2010, you had a lot of coaches still old school, like making guys dress a certain way on road trips, for instance, old school stuff like, hey, we're going to wear a coat and tie when we go on the road. Everyone get on the bus at the same time, kind of like Denzel Washington's speech in Remember the Titans, it was a lot of coaches operating like that. Pete was like, I don't care what you guys wear. Just love each other. Listen to music if you want in the locker room. Blast it. I don't care what rap music and profanity is coming from the speakers. As long as you guys are together when you're doing it. You want to shoot hoops in the meeting room? Let's do that. Now every team's got ping pong tables in their meeting rooms and basketball hoops and stuff. They're all playing rap music at practice. And those were not normal ways of operating. Some guys on the Seahawks didn't even like it when Pete showed up. They're like, I don't know about this collegey rah-rah guy, So I think Pete laid a foundation that a lot of coaches, Mike Macdonald included, are still, carrying out today. They've canceled practice and gone and played Topgolf. Mike Macdonald has had them do that. That wasn't normal 20 years ago. And I think Pete deserves a lot of credit for that. But I am with you that when they fired Pete and kept John, I was like, dang, he must have given Jody a hell of a speech. I did not see, especially after having written a book about that era, I just did not really see how you untethered them. I thought they were both part of the solution and were both part of the problem. I would have got rid of both of them. Shows that Mike's not right about everything. John has shown that he was the right guy to find a new coach and go get the right players. The Pro Football Writers of America just voted John the Executive of the Year for 2025. First time John's ever won that award. He's been the exec here since 2010. And it's well earned. You look at their draft picks, like you mentioned, Grace Abel, Nicky Manwari. They went on their biggest spending spree that they've ever done under John. They gave Sam $100 million, gave Cooper $45 million, gave D-Law $32 million. They had never done any of that. The Seahawks typically don't spend on outsiders. And they did that, and they all hit. It's like a 3-leg parlay of free agents. It was just unreal. And so I think John deserves a lot of credit for what he was able to build. The gambles that he was willing to take, trading your wide receiver 1, trading your QB 1. Teams don't do that stuff, let alone do it and get it right. So yeah, like I said, John deserves a lot of credit. He was part of why they were mired in that mediocrity, to be very fair. Like he's getting a lot of credit for cleaning up a mess he made, but he did clean it up. Because he cleaned it up, they're here right now.
They are here right now, and they got a matchup with the New England Patriots. We'll talk really quick about the matchup before you got to go. Really quick, do you see this as a revenge game? Michael-Shawn? I mean, we're so far removed from the infamous interception at the goal line.
No, we want our lick back. We want our lick back. Nah.
Mike, do you see it as a revenge game?
I do personally, just because like I said, I just wrote a book about this era, and so much of it was built around Super Bowl 49, the lead up and what happened, and then all the ripple effects of that game. So I think just on the city's behalf, on the franchise's behalf, fan base's behalf, yes, this is a chance to get some get back against that franchise in the biggest game. Right now, do the players care about that? No. When I go to the VMAC to interview the guys this week and next week, I'm not going to ask them much about Super Bowl 49. Half of them were probably in high school. Right? That game was 11 years ago. Jackson Smith-Njigba was only 23 years old. Right? He may or may not even remember watching that game. So asking him about that means nothing. Asking Mike Macdonald about that means nothing. I'm not even sure he was coaching in the NFL. I mean, that might have been his first year as like a GA, So those guys rightfully will not care about that. I don't think they're going to have Cliff Averill or Richard Sherman or Ricardo Lockett come in and give a win one for the Gipper type of speech, to say, go get this for us. No, that's fine. They should be motivated by their own stuff. But everyone else will care about Super Bowl 49. And understandably so, that hurt a lot of people. That broke this franchise. It broke this team. That did in a lot of ways that we don't have time to get into, but so I am viewing it that way as like the perfect full circle type of storyline is to go get your revenge for Super Bowl 49 and kind of exercise those demons that hit when Russell Wilson was intercepted by Malcolm Butler.
What are you looking at in this matchup? Patriots have a very good defense as well, fourth best scoring defense in the league in the regular season. But on the offensive side, they've got sort of a pass protection problem. Drake May's by far the most sacked quarterback in the postseason. It wasn't much better in the regular season. What do you see from this matchup?
Yeah, so when the Patriots have the ball, I am very curious to see how Drake May handles the pressure. He's taken a lot of sacks in the postseason. He took a lot of sacks in the regular season. He's dealt with different types of fronts poorly across the board. The Chargers front is probably the one that's most similar to what the Seahawks do in terms of stunting and how they marry their pass rush and their coverage, where the Texans just say, we got better guys than you. We're just going to rush. And it worked great. It worked for Denver as well. So that is the weak spot, though, for the Patriots, and it plays right into the strength of the Seahawks. When the Seahawks have the ball, they're dealing with a defense that's only allowing 8.7 points per game in the postseason. That's ridiculous. That's really good. I don't care who you play, Jared Stidham. I don't care if it was the three of us out there playing quarterback. 8.7 points per game in the playoffs is impressive. So can Sam Darnold, Ken Walker, that offensive line, Jackson Smith-Njigba, can they just operate just normally? I don't think they need to do anything different. They just need to be themselves. I believe the Seahawks are the highest scoring offense in the playoffs. So we got the highest scoring offense versus the best defense. Who's going to win that? But that's the matchup I'm kind of looking at. Their offense for trying to slow down this defense that's been getting after guys, the New England Patriots, that is. And then can Drake May handle Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, DeMarcus Lawrence, Ernest Jones, Devin Witherspoon? I just named a bunch of Pro Bowlers and all pros, by the way. So those are kind of where I see this. But I think talent-wise, this favors Seattle, which is why I think they're 4.5-point favorites in this game, and deservedly so. They are the better team on paper, for sure.
Well, really, I can't think of a better way to get ready for this Super Bowl than with your book and reading up on the whole dynasty and just the matchup and everything. Tell us about the book. Where can people find it and get their hands on it?
Thank you for letting me close with this. It's called The Franchise Seattle Seahawks, A Curated History of the Legion of Boom Era. Hardcovers are available on Amazon. Paperbacks will start shipping via Amazon on February 3rd. I also have copies that I will sign and ship to you. My DMs are open on every social media platform. It's either at Mike Dugar or at Dugar Mike, depending on the platform. Hit me up. Shoot me a DM and I'll get one to you. Even if you're in Germany, Australia, I've been shipping international for the past few months as well. So get my book. It'll give you all that context I was just talking about as to why Super Bowl 49 broke this team and why Super Bowl 60 is very much a revenge game for the franchise.
Cannot think of a better way to get ready for this ball game.
Yes.
Mike, thank you so much. And you can find his incredible work on The Athletic, some truly insightful stuff. So be sure to check out Mike's work. Mike, thank you so much for joining the podcast. We really appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy the game. Right.
That is Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. Incredible insight, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you got me fired up.
Ready.
You got me fired up. I'm ready.
Man, I mean, there's so much that we still haven't even touched on. I had 10 billion more questions from Mike.
I could talk to him all day.
Man.
He just has all the knowledge. He's been with the Seahawks forever. He's an insider, so he knows some of the players, the coaches. I mean, definitely I wanted to pick his brain on what he thought about this upcoming matchup and the last game with the Rams.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the biggest part for me, my biggest takeaway comes back to this moment.
We did not care.
What post game, the sentence heard around the Pacific Northwest. Yes. Mike said it. There's not a single statement that encapsulates Mike Macdonald and the transformation of this culture better than
we did not care.
I mean, I'm serious. Like Mike shared.
That's our coach.
Yeah, that's our guy.
That's our coach.
That's our guy. Mike shared a specific instance. He had a specific. I love that he brought the receipts with the date of him asking a question to Mike back in training camp in August. I think he said preseason expectations, and he's like, we did not care.
Yes.
I've been there. I'm not even there every day like Mike is, and I've heard it 4 or 5 times when going into that first Rams game. Hey, Mike, there's so much stakes. What do you tell the players? And he's just we don't care. That has been a consistent theme throughout the season. So to see him get up on that stage and to be able to deliver that line, that, by the way, he said was an overthink moment, which I thought was absolutely hilarious and classic Mike Macdonald. But that is going to be a moment that when the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, I'm going to speak it into existence.
You have to.
Nobody is ever going to forget him getting onto that stage after the NFC Championship and saying, we did not care. I just think it is the perfect mantra for this franchise and what Mike Macdonald's
Simply
building.
Seattle, put it on a T-shirt.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And give Ethan the proceeds. Hey, I just wanted to ask you, though, because I wanted to pick your brain because you were there in that environment. Is the 12s back?
Oh, they are so back. They're so back. It's so funny. After the Niners game, I saw a video. And first of all, it was the Seahawks have done an incredible job of making sure that Seahawks fans get in those seats of the resale market and everything. And I mean, they're taking a lot of steps to make sure and enforce that season ticket holders aren't just season ticket holders to resell their tickets and all that stuff. And they're doing, I think, from what I have heard. And I don't know if this has been ever.
It's working.
Yes, but from what I've heard, I know that there are season ticket holders that had to sell their divisional round games so they could go to the championship game financially and stuff like that, and still got flagged with the email. From what I have heard, the Seahawks team is doing a good job of making it a case by case basis of as long as you're not predominantly reselling tickets, you're not being punished in that way. So I think they're doing it the right way from everything that I have heard, and. That 49ers game was incredible. I did see some red, but it was much less than what I'd seen in the past. In this Rams game, I mean, it was all 12s. It was really funny. What I was going to say is after that Niners game, I saw a social media video, and it was a Niner fan in some pretty good seats. And it's a video. They're all pumped up, opening kickoff. She takes it back to the house, and it turns the camera around to him, and he's wearing this huge, Niner, the oversized, Niner hat.
Yes.
Turns around to his 49er buddy, and he goes, I don't think we belong here. I just lost it.
And they didn't.
The 12s are back. Yeah. The 12s are back. It is Seahawks country. It was so cool for not just for the Seahawks to go back to the Super Bowl, but for them to do it in the way that they did at Lumen Field behind the 12s to really get that magic back in this city that had been missing for a little bit because the team was stuck in the middle, as you mentioned in our interview. It was so cool. Yes. It was so. Could you feel it through the broadcast?
I mean, yes, and you can hear the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, the energy was palpable. I haven't had that feeling since 2013, 2014. So I think the magic is back. I think the 12s are back, and I think the team has embraced it. You heard Coach Macdonald when he said we don't care, and he credited the 12s for their support, and all the players talk about it, and they even talked about how the old school Seahawks Seahawks come and say, hey, man, once y'all start playing well, these 12's going to turn it up. You're going to see. You're going to see. So they kind of was like giving them like an advance notice that if you play well, if you embrace this crowd, they will carry you. And they have carried this team to the Super Bowl.
Yep. I also have the full Mike Macdonald statement cut. I want to play that because I think it's very relevant. And if somehow you did not hear it, you need to hear it.
We did not care. It's about us. It's always been about us and what we do. And now we're going to the Super Bowl.
Now we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To preach that message, it is so hard to drown out the outside noise. And some teams like feast on it a little bit. I feel like Pete Carroll was more of the ilk of like, yeah, let's listen to the doubters to fuel us. You know what I mean? Mike Macdonald is the opposite. I think it's so hard to get that message across and for the team to commit to it as much as they did if they don't trust him as much as they do. And we heard Michael-Shawn Dugar. And when he was talking about, I loved your question about him, Mike Macdonald as a person, and how he like comes up with stuff day of, goes to Ernest Jones and like, let's do it. Let's like throw out what we were working on all week. Let's like do this thing that I just thought of because I'm an overthinker. And Ernest is like, okay, yeah, sure. You don't get that buy-in from the player, or like you don't have that trust of like we're going to change the game plan day of when we've been working all week on this game plan, unless you have full committed buy-in.
Yes.
And that is what Mike Macdonald has got. That is what he has earned throughout these 2 years. Man, I mean, 2 years. We're talking about in 2 years he turned this team into a Super Bowl. I mean, they're one win away from winning the Lombardi Trophy.
I don't think they're going anywhere. When you look up and down this roster, it's filled with young, promising players. And I wanted to talk about one in specific, and that's Nick Eamon-Ward.
Yes.
This guy, I just can't describe it in words. He's all over the place. He can play any position. He's so versatile. And then he showed his leadership as a rookie when Tariq Woolen made the mental error of talking trash to the Rams bench. Minutes later, they cut to Eamon-Ward and Tariq Woolen having some kind of interaction. And it looks like Eamon-Ward was giving him some straightening about his decision. When you have a rookie like that and he backs it with his play and you can see him showing that leadership, the future is bright for the Seahawks. So I have news for the Rams. I have news for the Cardinals and the 49ers. The Seahawks aren't going anywhere. We are here to stay, baby. Go Hawks.
That game, for me, it was so much about overcoming adversity. Like, number one, within the game with the defense, and I want to dive in on them, but you also got Sam Darnold overcoming the adversity of his play against the Rams, and overcoming the 6 interceptions in the 2 game and the big game moment, which he's not focused on.
Right.
But to me, that is a theme that, and Michael-Shawn talked about it. In his opinion, the best Seahawks quarterback performance in postseason history. That is absolutely crazy to me. For me, within the game, it was the defense overcoming adversity. They give up almost 500 yards to Matthew Stafford. Again, you've got Tariq Woolen, the taunting penalty. Next play, they go right at him, double move, Puka Nacua, touchdown. Air totally let out of the building. You got Devin Witherspoon getting beat for multiple big plays throughout the game. And then on that final drive, I will play. Here's a couple of the Devin Witherspoon plays. The 3rd and 4 goes to him. Just lockdown coverage. On that play, Tariq Woolen is not one-on-one, but he is primary defender on Puka Nacua. Shuts him down along with Ernest Jones. Devin Witherspoon coming back, making the play, and then on 4th and 4. And I think if the Rams, if this is caught, Devin Witherspoon runs the route for him.
Yes.
If they score here, I think the game is over. Looking at the momentum of how this game was going, man, it was not good. I mean, it was So this was the drive after the Tariq Woolen taunting penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have been up 31-20 with the ball. And then that play just lets the entire air out. It felt like the defense hadn't really recovered from it. And that's just me watching and observing. if they give up that, I mean, like, I just don't see, like the offense came back from that Reek Wallen penalty and they didn't do much on that drive. Like, it just felt like that play, something was off.
Yes.
The defense comes up with that stop, the ultimate bend don't break. I mean, they could not have bent any more. I think it was that drive started with 4 first downs in the first 5 plays. And the one play that was not a first down was a play action. We got 3 first downs in the first 3 plays. We're going to take a bomb. Reek Wallen, excellent coverage on Puka Nacua, by the way. So for Reek Wallen to come back, for Mike Macdonald to trust him, to not put him on the bench, told me a lot. It was incredible for him to come back, overcome that adversity of that mental mistake, and then Devin Witherspoon to not let those previous plays in the game get to him, and then he comes up and makes the plays when it matters the most.
And one of the most iconic moments, if you ask me, and a lot of people was lost on, when he put the seatbelt on the referee after wanting a pass interference penalty. I mean, this guy, he shows all.
He always wants more.
Yeah, he wants more. He's a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, we have one in Spoon, and like you said, you have to have a short memory when you're out there playing cornerback. You just have to. It has to be next play, But it does concern me moving forward to the Super Bowl. I don't think that New England has a Puka Nacua, who I believe is the best wide receiver in the league. I know we have one in Jackson Smith and Jigba, definitely, but I think Nacua is probably just a tick ahead of him. But at the end of the day, they made the stops that they needed to make on 3rd and 4th down, and that was the difference in the game, Ethan. We talked about Stafford dealing, and we talked about Sam Darnold having the best game in his career. They had almost identical stats, almost identical passer ratings, but the difference in the game was 3rd and 4th down. The Seahawks defense stopped Matthew Stafford on 3rd down and 4th down. The first time in his career, I believe, he didn't have a completion on 3rd and 4th down. He was like 0 for 8 or 0 for 6 or something like that.
Wow.
So they shut him down when it counted on 3rd and 4th down. We know the Rams. They have the Seahawks number. They know each other. So, those guys are on scholarship too, and hats off to the Rams. They were a great opponent, but it was the Seahawks who came out victorious, and that was because of the defensive stops.
Yeah, let's talk about that Patriots matchup. You mentioned they don't have a Puka Nacua, and, this guy hasn't been the all-pro type wide receiver this year, but he has in his career, and that's Stephon Diggs.
Yes.
So he can absolutely still get it done. This matchup is interesting. Michael-Shawn sort of broke it down a little bit. I asked about if it's a revenge game. I totally feel like it is.
Oh, it's definitely.
I mean, I've already seen the Malcolm Butler interception 5 times,
already.
And it's Wednesday. This sucks.
We got a whole nother week and a half.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that, and so rewriting that, Michael-Shawn put it really well. I mean, that is a play, that is a game that fractured this franchise, and we are on the cusp of them fully recovering and taking a second Lombardi trophy that was rightfully ours, right?
Right.
And who knows how many Lombardis that single play took away in the future from all of the rift that was created in the locker room.
Yes.
And go check out Michael-Shawn Dugar's book on that. But yeah, this is absolutely a revenge game for me. Now, matchup-wise, it starts with – let's start with Drake May. Rookie quarterback. He's very good, running the ball. I mean, six runs for over 60 yards or something like that against the Broncos. So that is something that the Seahawks defense is going to have to shut down. But when I think about the Seahawks defense and them against mobile quarterbacks, they've been very good. I think Jaden Daniels, before he got hurt in that Commanders game, I mean, he's getting 4 or 5 yards up the field, and then he is getting smoked. I mean, there are all these guys coming at him, and with the Seahawks being able to generate pressure with just 4, you've got more guys in coverage. So if those running lanes open up for a Drake May, you've got more guys in coverage to be able to swarm him, and you'll give up a 4 or 5 yard scramble every day of the week. Right, like as long as they're not breaking off those explosive plays, with this, which the Seahawks defense has been very good outside of against the Rams at preventing. I don't see how the Patriots are going to be able to move the ball. I mean, Drake May was sacked 5 times against the Broncos. He's been sacked 16 times in the postseason. I mean, this Seahawks defensive front, if I'm them, I'm licking my lips. I mean, they are going to get after Drake May, and if they're able to get to him, I don't see how they move the ball.
I don't think it's going to be as easy as we think it may be, because you still have Josh McDaniels, who is one of the top offensive minds in the game, has been for, 20 years now with the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. So he'll break it down. He'll have something in store, especially with the Rams kind of giving you the blueprint 2 weeks before. So it does concern me, but I do think the Seahawks are the better unit. I think they have a better offense, they have a better defense, and a better special team. So that's, if I'm doing my math correctly, 1, 2, 3, they're better in all three phases.
What do they call that? A sweep?
Yeah,
they call it, to use a baseball term.
But
for
you play the game on the field and not on paper, right. So you don't want to get overconfident. But the Seahawks are expected to win this game, and they should.
Yeah. Other side of the ball. I mentioned with Mike, this Patriots defense is legit.
Yes.
Christian Gonzalez is that guy on the outside. So that's going to be a challenge. That's sort of the side of the ball. Because the Patriots' formula for winning, the Seahawks' formula. There are a lot of ways the Seahawks can win. Not only, they've done it all year. They've shown they can win multiple different ways. There are a lot of different ways that they can win this football game. The formula for the Patriots is, I feel like, very specific in that you can't expect to go put up 28, 30 points on the Seahawks defense. The Patriots defense needs to slow down the Seahawks offense and keep this game to a low-scoring affair.
Right.
If they can make it a one-possession football game into the fourth quarter, maybe a turnover, a big play here and there, and then the Patriots offense can come down and win the game for them. Like that to me is the only way that I can see the Seahawks losing this football game. So, to me, it comes down to the Seahawks offense against the Patriots defense. Mike Vrabel, incredible defensive-minded head coach. He's going to have those guys ready to play. Michael-Shawn Dugar mentioned it's not the most star-studded roster as far as name talent this season. What do you say? Only the 2 Pro Bowlers, right? So, but they've been getting results. What he said, under 9 points per game in the postseason they've given up, which is absolutely absurd. So it's going to be a challenge.
They have been a better defense in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So lately, recent history, very recent, in the playoffs.
I will say the opponent does
they have been the better defense in the playoffs. I've watched the games. They've shut people down. I will give them that credit. But I also will give credit to John Schneider's #1 acquisition on the offseason. You might have thought it was D-Law, even the drafting a rookie Eman Warrior. No, it's Clint Kubiak. Mm-hmm. Clint Kubiak was cooking this last game. I can see it, and I don't even know ball like that. I don't be watching no all 22 and all that. You talking about Jackson Smith and Jigba with a corner route wide open,
man.
And Sam Darnold just dealing, but he's throwing accurately to basically wide open people. And the way you can tell the way Kubiak schemed this. And this might be the greatest gift ever going to the Super Bowl, because you might get a chance to hold on to him because he can't interview for other jobs right now. So, Clint Kubiak was in his bag. Yeah. Clint was cooking. Let Clint cook, and hopefully he can take us to a championship.
Yeah, you mentioned that wide open corner out to JSN. Go check out Jason McCourty. Courtney?
Yeah, breaking it down, coming out of the backfield.
He broke it down. Mm-hmm. Clint Kubiak just out-schemed Chris Shula.
Yes.
How long has it been since, and I think I could probably count on one hand the amount of times where I just severely disagreed with a Clint Kubiak play call. Maybe it's a little bit more than that, but it has not been often.
No, the last one I can recall having us up in arms was the pitch from bringing in Milroe to Ken Walker against the Bucks.
Right.
After that, he's been in his bag. I have to give him that. And I don't understand the interview process of head coaches and stuff like that, because he just gave the greatest job interview you can give. He beat the Rams, okay? We can clearly see he schemed the Rams up. Bobo scoring a touchdown. You talking about unlikely contributions. He did his job. And so if you got to see more, if you got to sit him down and talk to him and talk ball with him after that showing, something's wrong with your organization. But, hey, we'll keep him. We'll take him. We'll take him.
Yeah, I really hope that he does stick around, because, man, he's going to be really hard to replace. You just look at the difference from last year to this year. The coaching along that offensive line with John Benton, who Kubiak brought along as well. It has been absolutely night and day. And just the play calling, the using JSN in the backfield to be able to manipulate matchups, make sure that he's not getting stuff to the line of scrimmage and all that stuff. I've heard Mina Kimes talking about the Seahawks were the used trips formations the least amount in the entire NFL. And then against the Rams, they used it over 50% of the time, which would have been a top 10 number in the NFL this year, because they saw something specifically with the Rams defense. And so the ability to have your fundamental identity, be able to then pivot off of it based on what the defense is giving you while not sacrificing your core principles is so wildly impressive. And to juxtapose it to what we saw last year from Ryan Grubb, and not to keep talking down on him and what we saw last year, but it just was not good enough. And then, it is just so refreshing to see a running game that you actually have to respect, at least in the second half of the season.
And K9 is electric.
Yes, K9 he is. Let's talk about it. Can we talk about him really quick?
We got
man. He was.
We ain't got enough time.
He was absolutely spectacular, and I was a little surprised they got away from the screen game. We saw 2 screens that went for significant yardage, and the screen game has been amazing. When they were struggling to move the ball in the second half, I was a little surprised they didn't throw a screen in there just to get K9 the ball in some space. That's maybe my only gripe. Clint Kubiak called a masterful game, and this is not a one-off.
Yes, and he had me fooled because I'm thinking they're going to run the ball and just pound it with Ken Walker.
That final drive
he
was
leaned on
spectacular.
Sam Darnold, and Ken Walker got the touches we always talked about. You don't have to pound him into the offensive line 20 times. Just give him 20 touches, and he is a game breaker, and he looks great. So continue to get Ken Walker the ball. We've talked about it ad nauseum, and I don't think nothing should change for the Super Bowl.
Well, what's impressed me the most, and something I've noticed, I think it was the first run of the game. K9 sort of gets stuffed at the line of scrimmage behind his blockers, sort of just waits. Instead of running backwards and trying to break it outside, sort of waits there. A little hole opens up, and he pushes through for 5 yards.
Yes.
We do not see that from K9 in weeks 11 and 12 when he was running backwards, and we were ranting right here at this desk about how we were sick about him. I was
the negative
very,
plays.
very upset about it.
The negative
because
plays.
that is what Zach Charbonnet did so well, is he just trusts it. He's a more patient runner, and he's going forwards. He's going north-south, not east-west.
But I tell you what,
that has been such an improvement in Kenneth Walker's game over specifically me seeing it the past 2 weeks. Has been absolutely awesome, and that gives me so much hope and optimism, or more want for let's bring this guy back, because
he has to come back.
He has to, right?
Yes.
I mean,
we talked about Zach Charbonnet, but Zach Charbonnet could not make a cut on a dime with 2 free runners coming at him. Go to the corner and Superman the corner for a touchdown. It was a thing of beauty. That juke, he left the man with his pants down to the right, and just then he crowned himself. Hey, K9, we don't crown ourselves, all right? But hey, I'll let you go. I'll let you live on that one.
Man.
But he's been electric. He's been fantastic in these playoffs and probably the final 3-4 games of the season. And it's a beautiful thing to see. This is the K9 we've been asking for such a long time, and he's finally come to fruition. Go Hawks, man. What more can you say?
Yeah, absolutely spectacular. All right, we are coming up to the end of this episode.
Yes.
I put this off long enough. I got the pick standings. Dante, you did not submit your pick officially, but I'm assuming you are going with the Seahawks.
It's all about the Hawks. You know that.
I am also picking the Seahawks. Austin and Will did also pick the Seahawks. Therefore, I am here on the sidelines to decree Austin Lane, our producer.
Yeah, hey, Austin, congratulations,
our
man.
Season-long pick.
Yeah, he came back, walked the money line down. Money line thought he was going to get it. Middle of the season, he had a gap the size of the Grand Canyon. Austin walked him down. Congratulations, Austin. And my big head is bringing in the rear, so I ain't got nothing else to say.
Yeah, good
but
job,
hey,
Austin,
you would have made money with any one of us.
True.
I'm proud of that.
Man, look at
that. Look that up there again.
Look at these
hey,
records.
if you might not have made as much, but you would have made money with any one of us. I'm proud of the On the Sidelines team.
Yep.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, so Austin finishes 45-21. Me and Will finish 44-22. Dante still squarely in the positive at 39-26 and the 1 tie. Who what was that pick? The Packers or Packers?
I think
Cowboys
it was the Cowboys. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that we got a tie in this competition. But yeah, we're gonna be back next year doing it. I'm sure we'll have Austin on the podcast at some point next week, possibly, right? To congratulate him, give him his flowers. We got to go back and see what the lead was that I had.
It was a big one. It was a big one.
Thanks, Dante. Thank you, DJ. Yeah, I needed that.
Money line.
Okay, finish it up. Final thoughts. Do you have a score prediction? Like, are you expecting this to be a close game?
I do expect it to be a closer game.
Yeah.
I think it will be something like a 28-14. I think
That's not a close game.
I mean, it's not. I wouldn't consider it a blowout,
A 2-touchdown.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. I
game?
mean, I'm not saying when the touchdowns are going to be scored, but I think eventually it will be a 2-score win by the Seahawks. All right, let's put it that way. I'm saying let's go 28-17.
Okay.
28-17.
I'm sort of feel. I'm giving you crap, but I sort of feel the same way. I think it's going to be a 1-possession game throughout a good chunk of the fourth quarter, and then the Seahawks are going to win one late or score one late to turn it into a 2-possession game.
Give me a Super Bowl MVP then.
Super Bowl MVP
on the spot.
Wow, man. I think the Seahawks get a defensive score, and I think it's a DeMarcus Lawrence.
Ooh, that's his specialty
is going to have his fingerprints all over it. It's either going to be DeMarcus Lawrence or Leonard Williams. My pick is going to be DeMarcus Lawrence, but if Leonard Williams gets it, I still called it. So,
okay, all right. So you got two.
I got two. You got a Super Bowl MVP.
You know what? This is going to be surprising. Cooper Kupp. He's
right.
going to be 2-time MVP.
I
think you put the attention on JSN and K9, and you need somebody else to step up. It looks like Kupp has found that fountain of youth this playoffs.
Yep.
Look for Kupp to have a big game in the Super Bowl. Let's go Hawks.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right, that is going to be it for this episode of the On the Sidelines podcast, Super Bowl edition. We got another one coming next week. We might have a full podcast from out at the Super Bowl. We're going to try to make that happen and bring it to you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much to Michael-Shawn Dugar. His stuff is incredible. At Mike Dugar on Twitter. And be sure to go and get a copy of his book. He'll even sign it for you. Take advantage of that. For a guy as accomplished as him, that is not very.
I'm gonna go
common.
get mine.
Yeah, you need to.
I'm gonna go get mine.
For D-Jack Dante Jackson, for Michael-Shawn Dugar, I'm Ethan McReynolds. We'll see you next time on the Sidelines.
Let's go.
On the Sidelines is available wherever you get your podcast.